It was exactly 12:41 a.m. when the silence was broken by the sound of a phone ringing. Not the soft vibration of a modern smartphone, but a sharp, echoing ring that felt out of place in the stillness of the night. The kind of ring that makes your stomach tighten before your mind even catches up. The room was dark, the street outside empty, and everything felt normal until it didn't. You glance at the screen and see no name, no number, no missed call history. Just an unknown caller, waiting. As the ringing continues, a strange sense of unease creeps in. The kind you can't explain but can't ignore either. Finally, you answer. There is no greeting on the other end, no background noise, only slow, controlled breathing, as if someone is standing very close to the phone. Then a calm voice speaks, low and serious, with no hint of panic. Listen carefully, it says. Someone is going to knock on your door. Whatever happens next, do not open it. Before you can ask who they are or how they know this, the call ends. And just seconds later, the sound comes, 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the door, each one heavier than the last, echoing through the quiet house. In moments like these, fear doesn't arrive screaming. It arrives quietly, wrapped in confusion and doubt. You stand frozen, questioning everything. Is this some kind of prank? A coincidence? Or something far worse? Your mind races, trying to make sense of how a stranger could predict the knock so perfectly. Your heart pounds as you stare at the door, half expecting the handle to turn. Most people believe danger comes with warning signs, raised voices, breaking glass, chaos in the street. But the truth is, real danger often feels calm, patient, and terrifyingly confident. Tonight's story is about one such moment, when a single phone call after midnight became the difference between safety and disappearance. It is a warning about curiosity, about trust, and about the instinct that tells you when something is deeply wrong. Because sometimes, the most important decision you will ever make lasts only a few seconds, and it happens standing alone in the dark, deciding whether or not to open a door. The night had been quiet for so long that the silence itself felt heavy. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes every small sound feel louder than it should. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, each second stretching longer than the last, while the faint glow of a streetlight slipped through the curtains and painted pale lines across the floor. Nothing about the night felt unusual, and that was exactly what made it so dangerous. When the phone finally rang, it didn't feel like an interruption. It felt like something that had been waiting patiently for the right moment. The ring echoed through the room, sharp and deliberate, cutting through the calm with unsettling precision. For a few seconds, there was denial. A hope that the sound would stop on its own, that it was accidental, meaningless. But it didn't stop. It rang again and again, demanding attention. When the call was answered, the silence on the other end was worse than any noise. There was no greeting, no static, no distant sound of traffic or voices. Just breathing. Slow, controlled, almost measured. It felt intentional, like whoever was on the line wanted that breathing to be heard. Then the voice came, low and calm, without urgency or emotion. It spoke as if reading a script that had already been rehearsed. The warning was simple and precise. Someone would knock. The door must not be opened. No explanation followed. No chance for questions. The call ended abruptly, leaving behind a ringing in the ears that had nothing to do with the phone. Confusion filled the space where logic should have been. The mind searched desperately for reasonable explanations. A prank caller. A wrong number. Someone trying to scare a stranger for fun. But before any conclusion could settle, the knock came. 3 slow knocks, evenly spaced, not aggressive, not hesitant, confident. Each knock landed with weight, vibrating faintly through the door and into the walls. The body reacted before the mind could catch up. Muscles tensed. Breathing slowed. Every instinct screamed to stay still. The door did not rattle. No voice called out. Whoever was outside seemed content knowing they had been heard. Time began to behave strangely after that. Seconds stretched unnaturally long. The space between breaths felt dangerous. Every shadow in the hallway appeared deeper, darker, as if hiding movement that wasn't really there. The door stood quietly, innocent in appearance, yet suddenly transformed into a boundary between safety and something unknown. The thought of the caller's voice returned again and again, calm and certain, as if they had known this moment would unfold exactly this way. The certainty was the most frightening part. Whoever had called hadn't guessed. They had known. As minutes passed, doubt crept in. Doubt is persuasive in moments of fear. It whispers that you're overreacting, that you're letting imagination take control. It suggests that a normal person would check the door, would look through the peephole, would confirm there was no danger. The knock did not return, which somehow made the silence worse. A second knock would have been easier to process. Silence left room for possibilities, and every possibility felt wrong. The phone remained in hand, screen dark, as if it might light up again at any moment. When the phone rang the second time, the sound nearly caused the heart to stop. The same unknown display, the same voice. This time, it spoke fewer words. It said the person outside was still there. It said they wanted eye contact. It said the peephole was a mistake others had made. The implication hung heavily in the air. Others, more than one, enough to form a pattern. Enough to turn this from coincidence into warning. Again, the call ended before anything could be asked. The realization settled slowly and painfully. This was not random. This was not targeted personally, but situationally. Whoever stood outside was repeating a process. Knocking, waiting, hoping curiosity would do what force could not. The door was not meant to be broken down. It was meant to be opened willingly. That thought changed everything. Fear sharpened into awareness. Every small sound from outside became meaningful. The faint scrape of a shoe against concrete, the barely audible shift of weight, the whisper of fabric moving in the night air. Memories surfaced of stories heard casually in the past, the kind shared late at night and laughed off in the morning. Stories about strangers who knocked politely. Stories about voices that sounded normal. Stories where nothing appeared wrong until it was far too late. Those stories had always felt distant, exaggerated, safely unreal. Now they felt uncomfortably close, as if those warnings had been preparing for this exact moment. The hours passed slowly, painfully, with no clear sense of progression. The darkness outside the windows began to thin slightly, turning from deep black to a muted gray. The presence beyond the door faded without announcement. There was no final knock, no footsteps retreating, just absence. It wasn't relief that followed, but exhaustion, the kind that settles into the bones after prolonged fear. When morning finally arrived, it did so quietly, as if unaware of what had almost happened. Later, when police reports confirmed similar incidents nearby, the pieces aligned with terrifying clarity. Multiple homes, identical knocks, no forced entry. In some cases, no occupants left behind. Only unanswered questions and doors that had been opened once and never closed again. The call, it turned out, had been the only interruption in a pattern designed to succeed. This story is not about superstition or imagination. It is about awareness, about understanding that danger does not always rush in loudly. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it asks politely. Sometimes it counts on curiosity, politeness, and the human need to know. And sometimes, the only thing standing between safety and disappearance is the decision to do nothing at all.